Hello and welcome to the very first Next Gen edition of Bonus, in which I attempt to answer your questions while there's some gameplay on in the background. This time it's Forza 5, in which you'll see me slowly train my driver to be a terrible driver. But first, allow me to have a bit of a rant about the debacle that revolves around me, game.co.uk, and the obtainment of my Xbox One. Now, back in May, when everything was first announced and the X1 started to be listed on sites for pre-order, it was actually Game here in the UK that had the first listings for the so-called Day 1 edition of the Xbox One. I'm normally an Amazon guy, but I have ordered from Game in the past, and they've been adequate. They've normally given me launch day delivery, so I thought, alright, fine, if Game are going to be the first to list, I'm going to lodge my pre-order with them. And so I did. I placed down a £20 deposit, I lodged my pre-order back in May, and then I waited for the inevitable launch day to come around. Jumped to a couple of weeks before launch, Game sent me an email that actually ended up in my spam filter, but I was lucky enough to catch it, saying, oh, that reminds us, you need to pay for the balance in full to guarantee delivery, so if you could do that, that would be grand. So thankfully I caught that email within a week or so, I paid the full balance, everything was gravy, everything was set for the 22nd of November. And then, the big day rolls around. I'm excited. I'm like a kid on Christmas. This is brilliant. The next generation is here. I can start calling it the current generation. Now, I haven't been given a tracking number, but it'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be fine. So Friday morning, I'm waiting in, looking out for, I don't know who the courier was, but I was so excited. Waiting in. I can, as soon as it comes, I can get everything installed and start making videos, and all of a sudden it's 6 PM on a Friday and there's no sign of it. Well, that was disappointing, but you know, it's not unheard of for a courier to maybe miss the first delivery day, especially on a busy launch day like I imagine it might very well have been. So I'm thinking, well, maybe the courier offers Saturday delivery, maybe they'll turn up Saturday. So, of course, I wait in, Saturday, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, hoping that a van will turn up with my shiny new Xbox One, but of course, it never does. I mean, after all, couriers often don't work Saturdays. So I don't even know which courier my package is with or where it's supposed to be at, so I think, alright, let's contact Game customer service, let's see if we can get a tracking number. So, I log on to their customer service web chat system and it tells me, you are currently number 89 in a queue. Estimated wait time, 600 minutes. And, well, you know, I've got nothing better to do all day, so I leave it. Turns out the wait wasn't 600 minutes, it was about 10 minutes. I guess what happened is everybody who logged on saw this insane wait time and thought, you're having a giggle, mate, and then closed the browser. So anyway, it only took me about 10 minutes to get through to an actual live human. And I asked them, you know, hello, here is my order number. I don't have a tracking number, can you get me a tracking number? The response? No. Can you pass my inquiry on to someone who can get me a tracking number? Okay. And that was that. A thoroughly unsatisfactory exchange, which led to me being no closer to my Xbox One at all. So Sunday rolls around and I'm not even kidding myself on this day, I know no courier is working today, so I just sit around, overcome with ennui, thinking about the work that I could be doing on the weapon guides that should be starting very soon. But I can't do it because I need the Xbox One, because that's the plan, and I'm not recording on 360 because that would be against the plan. So, Monday rolls around, and again I'm optimistic, because Monday is a business day and couriers work on Monday. So, all I need to do is stare out the window all day, and a courier will turn up with my Xbox One. Now, it gets to the afternoon, I'm thinking, alright, so getting a little bit antsy here, where is this Xbox One? I still don't have a tracking number. So I think, alright, let's try tweeting Game. Maybe the threat of public shame will get their act together and they'll tell me where my Xbox One is. And it actually works. They tweet me back saying, can you send me a direct message with your order number? And I do, and then eventually they give me a tracking number. Brilliant! Except it doesn't work. I go to the courier's website, type in my code, nothing. I don't understand. Where is my Xbox One? Turns out not coming Monday either. By this point, I'm livid. I want to start recording. I was ready to go into town and look for stock in a retail shop. This is how livid I was. As far as I knew at this point, Game had sent out the Xbox One, but it had been lost. They'd lost my order, or it had been stolen, and I wasn't going to get it for maybe weeks. Anyway, the first glimmer of hope at about midnight on Monday night. The tracking number actually started working. Almost as though the parcel were dispatched on Monday. And with full credit to the courier DPD, they deliver the next day, early as well. It arrives Tuesday morning at about 10 o'clock, and all is well in the world. But it does mean, because Game dispatched my Day 1 Xbox late, it does mean that I had a Day 5 Xbox instead. Now, I appreciate there are greater issues in the world than a slightly delayed package. And I know some of you are thinking, well, I don't even have an X1. But anyway, it's a frustrating affair when your entire job is dependent on this one thing arriving so you can actually move on to the next stage of your plan, and then it doesn't turn up, and then you've got to chase it up, and then, frustration. Anyway, the moral of this story is never buy anything from game.co.uk. I've learned my lesson, and I think in the future I'm sticking with Amazon. I actually have a PS4 coming from Amazon this week, and I imagine it will probably turn up on Friday. You know, launch day, like something that you've pre-ordered should turn up on. So yes, frustrating times, and I hope you don't mind me taking up the first quarter of this bonus with my little rant. That's my little story of what I've been doing this last few days. Meanwhile, the incessant, Stu, where are the weapon guides, Stu? I've done the first weapon guide now, it's coming. I'm getting a head start with those, actually. I'm going to start producing as fast a pace as I can manage, and I'm going to start uploading from Friday, and I'm hoping, at least for the first few, to get them out daily. Anyway, I suppose I should talk about the X1, because it's new and I have it, and it's exciting, and yeah, I kind of like it. It's nice. It's a nice bit of hardware. I mean, sure, it's big, but I kind of like that. It has a presence. And, well, you know, the UI, it's very Windows 8, but that's not necessarily bad. Everything's very slick. I like the fact you can jump in and out of games and, you know, you can snap stuff. And the voice controls are surprisingly good, because we all know the future has voice control. Like Minority Report, all this gesture nonsense. The gesture stuff doesn't work too well with Kinect, but voice control is pretty nice nonetheless. But the single best thing about the X1 is inputting codes with QR codes. It's so easy. It's brilliant. Xbox, use a code. Bink, done. Fantastic. Absolutely love it. As far as the games are concerned, Forza 5, yes, I like it. The visuals are nice, maybe not that impressive. It runs at 1080p, which is good, but it also runs at 60 frames a second, which is also good. But it kind of on the surface looks a little bit like Forza 4. But, you know, slightly better. But that's all I really want from a Forza game, so I'm happy enough with that. I like the drive avatar feature. It's actually nice being able to sort of, in single player, race against your buddies and their stupid cars. I don't know precisely how intelligent or how close of a match the AI is, but it's a little bit more interesting than racing against M. Rossi. So I'll probably play quite a bit over the next few months. I shall unwind with a couple of races in between doing weapon guides. The game is a bit of a grind, and, well, you can pay to reduce that grind, but, I mean, I'll be honest with you, the entire idea of a game in a driving game like this is to grind away. It's all about doing the miles, doing the tracks, doing the circuits. And while the microtransactions are present, I've never really felt pressured to use them. I just want to drive, that's all. And true, I mean, I can't afford a Formula 1 car right from the start, but then, well, that's how driving games work. They delay the good cars until you've earned them. Call of Duty Ghosts looks almost exactly the same as Call of Duty Ghosts on 360, except a little bit nicer. Textures are higher res, facial details are actually pretty good on player characters, but it's not particularly well optimized. It's nicer, but it doesn't come close to using the full potential of the Xbox One as far as visual appeal is concerned. Battlefield 4. It's really nice to see Battlefield running at 60 frames per second on the console. I appreciate the resolution isn't that hot, it's slightly hotter on PS4, but it still looks pretty nice. FIFA 14, that's another game I've got, but I haven't really played it. I got a free code with my Day 1 edition. I think most of us Euros got that, or something similar. And yeah, of course, I've downloaded it, I've installed it, why not? I do like the fact that it has an option for a Mancunian accent when it comes to recognising voice commands. I don't have a Mancunian accent, for the record, but I like the fact that it's there. Anyway, enough talk. Now questions. Tyler Norman asks, has anyone ever hit on you for your voice? Short answer, no. I mean, like, when you're in the normal places of you know, social interaction like the bars and clubs, the music's on, nobody can hear your voice. And I can categorically say that every time I've been to the supermarket, none of the checkout ladies have flung themselves upon me, even when, you know, I speak to them. You know, sometimes it's just a series of grunts, you know. Zyme Maru asks, Stu, did you start with a male character or female character, or did you just keep the default settings? Do you plan to make any customizations to your characters, or will you just take what is already made? Also, since you can create characters now, don't you think it would have been nice to bring back third-person mode like in Modern Warfare 2? I think my current character is a lady, but yeah, she was just the default. I have made some modifications. I completed the collateral damage challenge with the sniper rifles, killing 2 people, so I'm using the headwear that you get for doing that challenge. I wouldn't mind having a ghillie suit either. I think I'm on stage 2 out of 3 for that challenge, so I might grind that one out. I think the customization, it's a nice touch, but it's a little bit wasted, especially given that you can't see yourself like you can in third-person mode. Everybody kind of looks the same anyway. There is the slightly zany body count one that you get from doing clan challenges, but none of them really stand out that much, apart from the ghillie suit, I suppose. So dare I say, it's a bit of a wasted opportunity. Dead End King says, Hey Stu, right now in the video game market, every studio and publisher is trying to get a share of the first-person shooter craze Call of Duty started. Do you think that the market is oversaturated, and now that COD's glory days are arguably behind it, do you see the decline of FPS games in the future? FPS games have been around for a long while, and they'll probably be around for a long while more. I mean, it was Doom and Wolfenstein that kind of first started the ball rolling, and technically there were FPS games before that. FPS is kind of a really loose genre anyway. I mean, it's really more of a camera mode than anything. I mean, alright, the shooter part is kind of a genre, but first person refers to the camera view and not really anything to do with the gameplay. I think over the next gen, we're going to see more than a few first-person games, we're going to see more than a few third-person games. I mean, what else is there? I suppose there's top-down isometric games, and maybe we'll see a few of those, but certainly beyond that, there really aren't too many options. As far as the shooter component, I can certainly see a shift away from Call of Duty-styled games. I think we've learned a lot of lessons, like with regards to the metagame and how multiplayer works. But the whole modern military thing, I think, might take a back seat. Probably once something else comes to the forefront. Maybe it'll be Titanfall, maybe it'll be Destiny, maybe science fiction is the way forward for the next gen, or maybe something from left field will surprise us all. Alfonso Navarro says, what are your thoughts on other YouTubers who do weapon guides? I wish them the best of luck, and, you know, if they do something differently to me, then great, you know, maybe they'll appeal to a different audience. If they do something better than me, then great, I can learn from that and steal it for myself. I think in some ways you can look at people like Drifter and you can say, he's a competitor, you know, he's working against me, but the fact of the matter is we're both doing the same thing, we're more like colleagues, really. I mean, sure, you know, we've got different audiences and we do different things at different times and we get paid separately, but I can't honestly say there's ever been a time when some other YouTuber's success has been to the detriment of my own. If someone else's videos are more timely or better and other people watch them, then that's because of the videos. It's nothing to do with me or anything like that. So I do try to steer clear of thinking of other YouTubers as rivals because that's not really the case. We're all in this together. And this whole YouTube lark it's a horrible way to make a living. Because you don't know how your view counts are going to be in the future. You don't know if your network's going to phone you up tomorrow and say, hey Stu, we're going to halve your CPM. These things can happen. I mean, if I had a regular job, it wouldn't happen. There would be employment law which would protect me. But in this business, there's nothing like that. I mean, it can be good. You know, if you're getting the views, then yeah, it's brilliant. But if you're not, then, you know, maybe there are some lean times ahead. Maybe you'd better think about getting a regular job with a regular salary, because that affords you so much more protection. The Killer Donut says, have you ever watched pro wrestling? Yes, I know it's fake. If so, how much of it? Are you a fan of it? If you were a fan of it, how do you feel about the modern era? I actually quite like pro wrestling. I wouldn't say like I was an avid fan, but I do like to watch it. It's maybe not something I'd watch on my own, but, you know, with friends, yeah, I kind of enjoy it. It's fun. It is fun. It's it's like a soap opera, but instead of going on and on about their love lives, people just fight. Blades That Burn say, hey Stu, seeing as we are coming up to the Christmas season now, I was wondering whether or not you have tried Wassail Punch. Or are you more of a mulled wine fan? You know, I'd never heard of Wassail before. I had to look it up. Apparently it's a southwest English thing. We don't have that in Lancashire. I think more just mulled wine. But I have to be honest, not a big fan of mulled wine. I mean, wine's okay, mulled wine is okay as well. It's just spicy wine, isn't it? But whether it's Christmas or any other time of year, I'd just sooner have a beer or something. I normally switch to the darker stuff around about this time of year when it's a bit colder. So something like a stout, maybe. That would be nice. I mean, Guinness is okay, but there are better options out there. The Matthew HD says, as an older person, what do you think about pornography and prostitution? Do you think it should be legalised, or should there be more strict laws and actions against it? Well, as I understand it, pornography is currently legal, and although there are some moves to limit what pornography is legal, thanks David Cameron, I do believe that any pornography that was produced without breaking any laws should remain legal. There is clearly an adequate market for it to exist, and that means there's demand for it. You know, if there's demand for something and no laws are broken in the production of it, then why would it not be legal? Prostitution here in the UK, most of the world, in fact, it is currently illegal. However, there is, again, clearly a market for prostitution. There is clearly, a demand for the services on offer. And I think a lot of these sexual services do operate in kind of a grey area of the law. I think the police generally turn a blind eye to places like massage parlours and, other sordid joints where such services might be covertly offered. This marginal legality is kind of an odd way to regulate an industry, and I do think maybe we could do it better. Yes, it probably should be legal. Yeah, it probably should be heavily regulated. Chris Poteet says, I thought you were above using "it is what it is." Awful filler. At the end of the day, sorry, not sorry. Clay Mister says, if there are any games that you don't fancy getting, do you watch unboxing videos of those games? Wait. Unboxing videos of games? Is that a thing? Like, really? Like, oh, hey guys, I've got a game here. I've got a copy of Battlefield 4 for the Xbox One. Let's open that up. Oh, look at that. We got a manual. There's the disc there. Oh, we got a code for China Rising. Oh, yeah, look at that. Oh, don't look at that. No, that's the code. There's the disc. It comes out like this. There we go. Yeah, so thanks for watching, guys. Yeah, this has been my unboxing of Battlefield 4. Please tell me that's not a thing. Until YouTube can adequately recreate the smell of opening a new game, I don't want to watch an unboxing. Daredevil Zombie asks, is your plans well suited for DLC weapons? I don't know, because I've got absolutely zero clue as to when the DLC weapons are coming. I'm not even entirely sure that there are DLC weapons for COD Ghosts. I mean, I guess I'll cover them, maybe, if I'm still doing Ghosts at the time that they come out. Because there's a very real possibility that they'll release some DLC weapon for Ghosts, and I'll be playing Titanfall. And I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, if there was sufficient demand, I suppose I could go back to Ghosts and do a guide for it, but I don't know. It depends how good Titanfall is, I suppose. Matthew Vernell says, hey Stu, what do you think about some seemingly rushed releases such as Battlefield 4 and GTA Online? Do you think that companies like EA push the developers too hard to release a game on time? Well, to be honest, if a publisher isn't pushing their developers to release games on a schedule, they're probably not doing their job. I mean, that's pretty much what a publisher has to do. They make sure the dev studio is firing on all cylinders, and they make sure that the marketing efforts and the development efforts on the back end work together to form a finished game. So you can't just say to a developer, make a game, take as long as you'd like. Because what happens then is the developer does take as long as they like, and it turns out that that isn't really as commercially viable as putting a little bit of pressure on. So deadlines and release dates have their place. They are pretty useful motivational tools. Sometimes you might get a rushed game as a result, but that's really down to poor management than anything else. I get the impression that the transition between the two generations has been particularly hard on developers this generation. I mean, Battlefield 4 has been a mess on pretty much all the platforms it's released for. Call of Duty Ghosts actually works. The online experience on Ghosts is commendable, but as far as optimization is concerned, the PC version, not very well optimized. The next-gen console versions, well, they run fine, but they're not spectacular. But this is what always happens. I mean, the launch titles of any given console are never anywhere close to the actual potential of the console because there's simply not enough time to optimize. Alright, time for one more. Mark Lee says, Stu! Do you ever consider making a channel trailer? If so, what would it be like? I have thought about it, but I haven't really gone through with it because I haven't had a decent enough idea. I was kind of mooting doing one like a film trailer parody. You know, like, in a world without guided weapons, one man will change. That's about all I got. Maybe one day I'll do a channel trailer. Maybe. In the meantime, I've got weapon guides to do. Expect one on Friday, and expect them daily after that. Until then, farewell.